The forest breathed like a living thing. Mist clung to the twisted roots and metallic leaves, glowing faintly under a bruised violet sky. Every sound echoed too loudly, as if the planet itself listened. 6-year-old Mira Hale stood alone at the edge of the crash site, her small boots sinking into warm ash. The air smelled of ozone, burned stone, and something sharp like blood mixed with copper. Her heart beat fast, but her hand stayed steady. Humans learned early on frontier worlds that fear was useful only when controlled. A broken alien ship lay split open like a wounded beast. Blue sparks crawled across torn metal ribs. Inside the wreckage, something moved. Mira tightened her grip on the wooden bow strapped across her back. Her father had carved it from ironwood native to 3 planets. It felt familiar. It felt safe. A low sound drifted out from the ship. Pain, not spoken in words, but felt in the chest. Mira stepped forward. Her breath fogged in the cooling air. She smelled burning fuel and alien blood, thick and sweet. Then she saw him. The alien lay pinned beneath a fallen beam, his tall, 4-armed body twisted at an impossible angle. His skin shimmered like dark glass under starlight. Golden eyes snapped open when he sensed her presence. Fear rolled off him in waves. Not fear of death, fear of humans. Mira raised one hand slowly. "I am Mira," she said softly. Her voice echoed through the broken hull. The alien's mandibles trembled. "You are small," he rasped in broken Galactic standard. Mira nodded. "I am 6, she said. The alien tried to laugh. It turned into a choking hiss. His blood pooled across the floor, glowing faintly red. Mira knelt beside him. The heat from his body warmed her face. "Do not move," she said. "You are hurt." "I will die here," the alien replied. Mira shook her head. "Not today," she said. She pressed her hands against the beam. Her muscles screamed. Her bones shook. Human biology burned energy fast when pushed beyond limits. The beam shifted. The alien stared. Mira gritted her teeth and pushed harder. The beam rolled aside with a thunderous crash. The alien gasped as the pressure vanished. He looked at her as if staring at a god. "You are impossible," he whispered. Mira smiled. "My mother says that a lot," she replied. She tore strips from her jacket and pressed them against his wounds. The alien flinched, then relaxed. Her touch felt warm. Safe. Her eyes scanned the forest. Predators howled in the distance. The night was coming fast. "You must hide," Mira said. "They will smell you." The alien tried to stand. He collapsed. Mira slid under his arm and lifted. He weighed more than her father. She carried him anyway. Every step burned. Every breath hurt. She did not stop. Humans endured. They always did. They reached a rocky hollow carved into the earth by ancient storms. Mira dragged branches and leaves to hide the entrance. Darkness swallowed them. The alien watched her work in silence. "Why do you help me?" he asked. Mira sat beside him and drank from her canteen. "Because you are alive," she said, "and because nobody deserves to die alone." The alien closed his eyes. Something ancient shifted inside him. He had fought humans before. He had seen fleets burn. He had believed humans were monsters of war. Now one sat beside him, humming softly. When dawn came, the forest glowed emerald and gold. Birds with crystal wings took flight. Mira woke to the alien watching her. "I am called Threx," he said. "I am a war tutor of the Varkan clans." Mira stretched. "I am learning archery," she said. "Do you want to see?" She stood and notched an arrow. The bow creaked. Her eyes narrowed. She released. The arrow flew. It split a hanging fruit clean in half 50 meters away. Threx froze. "That weapon," he said slowly. "It is primitive." "It is perfect," Mira replied. She handed him the bow. "Hold it like this," she said. Threx followed her instructions. His injured muscles protested. Mira adjusted his grip with gentle taps. "Feel the string," she said. "Do not fight it." Threx released the arrow. It struck true. Something ignited in his chest. Focus. Silence. Purpose. For the first time in centuries, Threx felt calm. Days passed. Mira brought food. She cleaned his wounds. She taught him patience. She taught him breath. She taught him that strength did not always roar. Sometimes strength waited. Ships passed overhead. Alien patrols searched the forest. Mira hid Threx with flawless timing. She never panicked. Humans adapted. They survived impossible odds. One night, the sky split open. Ancient machines descended, glowing with symbols older than stars. Threx trembled. "The ancients have awakened," he whispered. "They erase worlds." Mira picked up her bow. Her eyes reflected the burning sky. "Then they picked the wrong world," she said. Threx looked at the small human girl standing before cosmic annihilation. He understood then. Humans were not strong because they were large. Humans were strong because they refused to yield. The ground began to shake. The forest screamed. Mira stepped forward. Threx followed, bow in hand. Change forever. The sky tore wider. Light spilled down like molten gold mixed with screaming violet. Ancient machines descended without sound, their shapes shifting as if reality itself bent around them. Symbols burned across their surfaces, older than language, older than fear. The forest reacted first. Trees curled inward. Soil cracked and lifted as gravity stuttered. Creatures fled in blind panic. Senses overwhelmed by the presence of something that did not belong to time. Mira planted her feet into the shaking ground. The bow felt heavier in her hands. Not because of fear, because instinct screamed that this moment mattered. Threx stood behind her, towering and wounded, his breath slow and controlled just as she taught him. The machines turned, not toward the wreckage, not toward the hidden hollow, toward the human child. A voice rolled across the clearing, not heard but felt, vibrating through bone and memory. Anomaly detected. Mira frowned. "That voice is rude," she said. Threx stared at her. "They speak in judgment," he whispered. "They erase what is not fit." A beam of light lanced down, scorching the ground meters from Mira. Heat blasted across her face. Her hair lifted in static. She did not move. Humans learned long ago that hesitation invited death. Mira raised her bow. Threx inhaled sharply. "That will not harm them," he said. Mira did not answer. She closed one eye. She listened. The world narrowed to breath, heartbeat, tension in the string. She released. The arrow screamed through the air. It struck the machine dead center. The arrow shattered. The machine did not even flinch. Threx exhaled. Then the symbol on the machine flickered. Just once. A ripple passed through its surface like the stirred water. The machine paused. All of them paused. The voice returned, strained now. Data conflict. Mira tilted her head. "They feel it," she said softly. "They feel choice." Threx stared at the arrow fragment embedded in the machine, glowing faintly with human ironwood fibers. "That wood," he said slowly. "It grew on 3 worlds touched by human blood." Mira nodded. "My father said the tree remembered us," she replied. The machines adjusted formation. Energy built again, stronger. The ground split open. Threx stepped forward, bow raised. "Stay behind me," he said. Mira shook her head. "You are still healing," she replied. She stepped past him. Threx froze. War tutors did not freeze. But humans rewrote rules by existing. Mira moved through the chaos with terrifying calm. She fired again. And again. Each arrow struck a different symbol. Each impact forced the machines to hesitate longer. The force began to stabilize around her, responding to something ancient and human at once. The machines recalculated. Anomaly classification updated. Species human. Threat level undefined. Threx fell a twist into fear. Entire civilizations died screaming under those words. Mira did not know the meaning. She only knew the feeling, like standing at the edge of a storm and daring it to blink first. A massive construct descended lower than the rest, its surface fracturing to reveal something like an eye. It focused on Mira. The voice softened. "Why do you defy?" Mira lowered her bow slightly. "Because you hurt people," she said, "and because you never asked." Silence rippled outward. The eye flickered. Request, clarify. Mira took a step forward. The heat singed her boots. She felt fear now, but fear never ruled her. You decide who belongs, she said. You decide who ends. You never decide to protect. The machines hummed louder. Contradictory algorithms spiraled. Threx felt something inside him crack open. The girl spoke to gods as if they were bullies on a playground. A shockwave blasted outward. Mira flew backward. Threx caught her midair, pain roaring through his healing frame. He hit the ground hard. He shielded her with his body without thinking. The machines realigned. Correction required. Threx looked down at Mira. She was unconscious. Her small chest rose and fell. Alive. Rage unlike any he had known filled him. Not war rage. Protective rage. Human rage. He stood. Every wound tore open. Blood spilled. He raised a bow. He breathed as she taught him. The universe narrowed. He released. The arrow flew straighter than any weapon he had ever fired. It pierced deep into Cori. Light exploded. The machine screamed. Actual sound tore through the forest. The other constructs faltered. Their formation broke. The ancient voice shattered into fragments of corrupted command. Threx fired again. And again. Each arrow carried intent. Each arrow carried a lesson learned from a 6-year-old human girl. The forest surged upward as if answering him. Roots tore into metal. Vines wrapped glowing limbs. The machines began to fall. One by one. The sky sealed itself with a thunderous snap. Silence followed. Threx collapsed to his knees. The bow slipped from his hands. Mira stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. "Did we win?" she asked. Threx laughed. It sounded broken and beautiful. "Yes," he said. "You won." Days later, human ships arrived. They landed with disciplined precision. Soldiers spreading out, scanning, securing. Weapons lowered when they saw Mira. Medical teams rushed forward. Her mother ran first. She crushed Mira in her arms, shaking with relief. Threx expected fear. Instead, human soldiers nodded at him. One offered water. Another helped bind his wounds. No questions. No threats. Only action. Mira pointed at Threx from her stretcher. "He is my friend," she said. "That settled it," her mother replied. News spread faster than light. A human child had halted an ancient purge event. Not with technology. Not with fleets. With words and wood and will. Threx was invited to Earth. He expected interrogation. He received a home. He trained with human archers across deserts, jungles, orbital rings. He learned patience. He learned restraint. He taught humans alien battle doctrine. They taught him laughter. Years passed. The galaxies shifted. Ancient powers retreated. Alien empires reconsidered their stance on humans. Everywhere Threx traveled, he carried a human-made bow. Everywhere he went, stories followed. Of a species that faced a void with stubborn kindness. Of a child who spoke to extinction and told it to stop. Mira grew. She never forgot the forest. She never forgot the night the universe listened to her voice. One day, far from Earth, she stood beside Threx again. The stars burned cold and endless ahead. A new threat waited beyond known space. Mira smiled. "Ready?" she asked. Threx nodded, drawing the bowstring back. The stars ahead twisted. Space folded like fabric under invisible hands. Sensors screamed across the human cruiser, lights flashing crimson and gold. Mira stood at the observation window, older now, taller, but with the same steady eyes. She felt it before alarms finished sounding. The pressure behind the eyes. The hum in the bones. Something ancient watched them. Contact forming. A technician called. "Nonlinear mass," another shouted. Threx stepped beside Mira, his bow resting across his back like a ceremonial blade. His scarred hands flexed. "This presence feels older than the ancients," he said. "Older than memory." The void ahead tore open. Not with light. With darkness, so deep it swallowed stars. A structure emerged slowly, impossibly large, its edges undefined, its surface crawling with shifting patterns that hurt to look at. Human ships halted instinctively, thrusters firing in perfect unison. Human pilots trusted formation and discipline even when fear clawed at their minds. A voice rolled outward, not singular, many layered as one, child of interruption. Mira exhaled slowly. That voice knows me, she said. Threx nodded. This is no machine, he replied. This is a will. The structure pulsed. Images flooded the minds of every being present. Worlds erased. Civilizations dissolved into dust. Species screaming as reality itself turned against them. The will spoke again. Your kind bends fate. You unravel design. Mira stepped forward until the glass vibrated beneath her hand. Your design hurts people, she said. You never learned another way. Silence spread like a held breath across the fleet. The will reacted. Space compressed. A human frigate vanished in a silent implosion, folded into nothing. No debris, no sound. Gone. Rage surged through the fleet. Weapons powered up. Orders flew fast and sharp. Mira felt it too. The human instinct to fight, to protect. She raised one hand. Hold, she said. Her voice carried. Every human channel fell silent. Threx stared at her, all mixing with dread. You face extinction without weapons, he said quietly. Mira smiled faintly. I never said that, she replied. She turned and reached for her bow. The will focused on it instantly. Ineffective, it declared. Mira notched an arrow anyway. The arrowhead gleamed with human alloy, forged from meteor iron and memory. She closed her eyes. She thought of forests, of pain, of kindness given without expectation, of a wounded alien afraid and alone. She released. The arrow vanished into the darkness. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the void rippled. The structure recoiled. Not damaged, disrupted. The will faltered. Unknown variable. It intoned. Threx felt it then. The arrow carried more than force. It carried narrative. Humans did not simply fight reality. They rewrote it. The will surged forward, folding space aggressively. Human ships scattered, engines burning hard. Beams of distortion carved through empty vacuum where ships had been moments before. Human coordination held. No panic, no collapse. They adapted in real time. Mira drew again. Her arms trembled. This foe weighed on the soul. Threx stepped behind her, placing his hands over hers. Breathe, he said. You taught me that. She nodded. Together they breathed. Together they drew. The arrow glowed brighter than before. The will reacted too late. The arrow struck the center of the structure. Light exploded outward. Not destructive. Revelatory. The will screamed. A sound of confusion. Of identity fracture. Images flooded the fleet again. This time different. Possibilities. Timelines branching. Worlds where they were protected instead of erased. Worlds where humans taught instead of conquered. The will staggered. Paradox, it cried. You teach the end to choose. Mira lowered the bow. You never asked us, she said gently. We would have helped. Silence followed. Long. Heavy. Then the structure began to change. Its edges softened. Its darkness thinned. Stars reappeared behind it. The will spoke once more, quieter now. Child of interruption. What are you? Mira thought for a moment. I am human, she said, and that means I learn. The structure folded inward, not destroyed, dormant, watching. The fleet held position for hours afterward. No further attack came. When they finally moved on, space felt lighter, as if a storm had passed. Back aboard the cruiser, celebrations erupted, quiet ones. Humans celebrated survival with reflection as often as cheers. Threx stood alone in the observation chamber later, staring at the stars. Mira joined him. Do you think it will come back? She asked. Yes, Threx replied. And changed. He looked down at her. You changed me first. She smiled. Far beyond known space, something else stirred. Not a will, not a machine. Something hungry, something curious. It had watched humanity bend gods and refused to break. It leaned closer to the galaxy, tasting fear and hope alike. And it smiled. The smile in the dark rippled outward. Not light, not shadow. Something between hunger and curiosity. Across the human fleet, instruments began to fail in strange ways. Not broken. Confused. Numbers refused to stay still. Distances contradicted themselves. Time slipped by seconds, then minutes, then snapped back into place. Mira felt it like a cold finger tracing her spine. "This one is different," she said. Threx nodded slowly. "Yes," he replied. "This one enjoys watching." A human admiral entered the chamber, her posture rigid, her eyes sharp with controlled tension. "Long-range probes report an observer beyond causal range," she said. "It has not crossed into engagement distance." Yet, another officer added. Mira looked back at the stars. "Predators circle before they strike," she said quietly. The words unsettled the room. Not because they were wrong, because they were human. Humanity prepared, not with panic, with purpose. Shipyards ignited across systems. Children trained beside veterans. Artists worked alongside engineers. Because humans understood something the universe did not. Strength alone never saved a species. Meaning did. Threx watched human society mobilize again and again with the same quiet awe. They mourned the lost frigate crew. They named stars after them. They planted forests on dead moons in their memory. The observer watched all of it and leaned closer. The first contact came without warning. No tearing of space. No thunder. Reality simply folded inward, revealing a presence that felt personal. Too personal. It manifested as a vast shape of shifting symmetry, reflecting fragments of whoever looked at it. Mira saw herself multiplied into endless possibilities. A child, a warrior, a teacher, a failure, a hope. The entity spoke without sound. "I am the witness. I eat endings. I collect species at their peak." Fear rippled across non-human ships. Human vessels held position. Threx felt it again. That impossible calm humans carried into hell. "You have watched long enough," Mira said. "You want something." The witness pulsed. "You are correct. I want to understand why you refuse to end." Mira breathed in. She smelled nothing, heard nothing, but felt everything. "We refuse because endings are lazy," she said. "They stop questions." The witness recoiled slightly. "Questions create suffering." "So does silence," Mira replied. The witness shifted, its form sharpening. "Show, Emmy," it demanded. The battlefield formed instantly. A dead world. Cracked cities. Frozen oceans. Human refugees appeared, hunted by abstract horrors. The witness watched intently. Mira stepped into the illusion. She felt the cold, the fear. She picked up a broken piece of metal and handed it to a child. "Use this to dig," she said. The child obeyed. Shelter formed. Others joined. They adapted. They survived. The illusion shifted again. A human colony facing extinction from plague. Mira knelt among them, teaching quarantine, teaching care, teaching sacrifice. Some died. Many lived. The witness trembled. "You accept loss," it said. "We accept reality," Mira answered. "We do not worship it." The illusion grew harsher. War. Betrayal. Human against human. Mira watched it all without turning away. "We are flawed," she said. "We choose anyway." The witness began to fracture. "Choice creates instability," it insisted. "Yes," Threx said, stepping beside Mira. "And growth." The witness turned toward him. "You were not this." "I learned," Threx replied, "from a child." The witness convulsed, its collected endings screaming within it. It had consumed species that froze at perfection, that feared change. Humanity terrified it, not because of power, because of unpredictability. "I will take you," it declared, "before you spread." Human fleets moved instantly, weapons charged, not to destroy, to protect space around Mira. She raised her bow. The witness laughed. "Symbols do not stop me." Mira nodded. "They remind me," she said. She fired. The arrow did not aim at the witness. It flew past, vanishing into nothing. The witness paused. What did you do? It asked. Mira smiled sadly. I gave you a future, she replied. The arrow burst into a cascade of branching light behind the witness. Not an attack. An invitation. Timelines bloomed. Possibilities the witness had never allowed itself to see. Worlds were observed without consuming, where it learned instead of ending. The witness screamed, not in pain, in fear. It began to shrink, folding inward, shedding collected endings like ash. I do not know how T.O. exists this way, it whispered. Mira lowered her bow. Neither did we, she said, but we tried. The witness collapsed into a singular point of light, then vanished. No explosion, no victory cry, just absence. The universe exhaled. Afterward, silence stretched long and deep. Human ships held position until certainty replaced instinct. When confirmation came, cheers erupted across the fleet. Not loud, not boastful, relieved. Threx looked at Mira, his eyes shining. You changed another god, he said. Mira shrugged. I listened first, she replied. Years passed again. Stories spread, some exaggerated, some diminished. Humanity did not correct them all. They focused on building, on exploring, on teaching younger species how to survive the dark. Threx became an ambassador. His bow became a symbol across worlds, not of war, of restraint. Mira grew into legend and then into mentor. She trained children from dozens of species. She taught archery. She taught patience. She taught that strength meant choosing mercy when destruction felt easier. Far beyond map space, echoes stirred. Ancient powers whispered. The tests grew subtler. No grand invasions. No screaming voids. The universe learned that humans met obvious threats head-on, so it tried something quieter. Trade routes began to fail, without explanation. Stars dimmed slightly out of sequence. Messages arrived altered by fractions of meaning. Whole negotiations collapsed because a single word shifted tone. Mira noticed first. She always did. Patterns felt wrong to her, like a bowstring tuned too tight. She stood in a hall of voices on Earth, where delegates from 100 species spoke beneath a ceiling of living glass. The air tasted metallic. Nervous. They are not attacking us, Mira said calmly. They are isolating us. Threx crossed his arms, the scars along his forearms pale against his dark skin. Who? A delegate asked. Mira looked up at the stars projected above them. Something that learned from a witness, she replied. Something that believes separation is safer than destruction. A ripple of unease passed through the hall. Humans leaned forward. Aliens leaned back. Always the same difference. Humans moved toward problems. Others measured distance first. The first proof came 3 days later. A frontier system went silent. No explosion. No distress signal. Just absence. When Human Scout arrived, the planets remained intact. Cities stood empty. Food still warm on tables. Beds still rumpled. Every living being gone. Mira walked those streets in silence. Her boots echoed. Wind moved through abandoned homes. This is not death, Threx said softly beside her. No, Mira replied. This is collection. The sky darkened unnaturally. A veil slid across the stars. Then the collectors revealed themselves. Tall, thin forms of shifting translucence, like walking reflections. They spoke in harmony. We preserve civilization by removing friction. Contact creates conflict. Humans are contagion. Human Marines raised weapons. Mira lifted her hand. Do not, she said. The collectors turned toward her. You are the source, they intoned. You create entanglement. Mira stepped forward. Yes, she said. That is called relationship. The collectors projected images, wars, genocides. Human history laid bare without mercy. You destroy yourselves, they said. Mira nodded. Sometimes, she agreed. Then we rebuild. She gestured to the empty city. You remove pain, she continued. You also remove love. The collectors hesitated. They had data. They did not have context. Threx felt it again. That opening. That moment humans always found. Were they? Mira asked. Preserved, the collectors answered. Static. Mira closed her eyes. Static meant frozen. No growth. No choice. A beautiful prison. She opened her eyes again. You did not ask, she said. That matters. The collectors advanced. Consent is inefficient. Human Marines tensed. Mira knocked an arrow, not to fire, to be seen. This bow is inefficient, she said. It still changes lives. The collectors reacted instantly. Energy fields rose. Time slowed. Reality thickened. They attempted to separate Mira from the moment. She felt pressure squeeze her thoughts. Memories tried to drift. She anchored herself. Forest, blood, kindness, choice. Threx shouted her name. His voice cut through distortion like a blade. Mira released the arrow straight into the air. It vanished, then reappeared everywhere. Not physically, conceptually. The idea of an arrow, the idea of direction. The collectors reeled. Error, they sang. Vector multiplied. Mira spoke into the trembling space. You collect outcomes, she said. We live processes. The arrow resolved above them, glowing with branching light. Each branch showed a different future. In some, humans fell. In others, they rose. In many, they struggled endlessly. The collectors recoiled from uncertainty. They thrived on predictability. You are unstable, they insisted. Yes, Mira replied. And that is why we grow. Threx stepped forward, bow in hand. We were static once, he said. It killed us. The collectors began to withdraw, not defeated, reconsidering. This variable spreads, they warned. Mira nodded. We hope so. The collectors vanished, releasing preserved populations back to their worlds. Confusion followed. Joy, fear. Life resumed messy and loud. Humans stayed to help. Always. Months later, whispers spread across the galaxy. Some species began to change. Hierarchies softened. Rigid doctrines bent. Children asked questions that elders no longer silenced. Ancient powers watched nervously. Humanity did not conquer them. Humanity infected them with possibility. Mira aged slowly now, augmented by medicine and careful restraint. She refused full enhancement. Limits teach humility, she said. Threx aged differently. His people long lived. He remained by her side. One evening, beneath a sky full of unfamiliar constellations, he asked her something he had held for decades. Why did you help me? He asked. Mira smiled, lines at the corners of her eyes deep and kind. Because you were there, she replied, and because I could. A new signal arrived that night. Not hostile, not fearful, curious. A young species had detected humanity and requested guidance. They had discovered weapons before ethics. A dangerous path. The council debated. Mira listened, then stood. We go, she said, before fear teaches them first. Threx nodded. Human ships prepared. Teachers, engineers, artists, soldiers who understood restraint. As the fleet departed, something shifted far beyond known space. The collectors watched. The witness dreamed. Other entities took note. Humanity moved forward anyway. Still small, still fragile, still choosing. The universe remained dangerous, impossible, alive. The new system shimmered like a newborn thought. Blue suns drifted in slow orbits, wrapped in pale rings of dust and ice. The young species had built their first stations too close to the stars, bright and fragile, like hopes exposed too early. Human ships arrived gently. No weapons forward, no intimidating formations. They approached as guests. Mira stood at the front of the lead vessel, feeling the vibration of unfamiliar gravity through her boots. Excitement buzzed in the air. Fear, too. Always fear. The young species emerged to meet them, tall and luminous, their skin refracting light into soft rainbows. Their eyes held hunger, not for flesh, for answers. We detected your signal patterns, their leader said. You bend probability. Mira smiled. We trip over it often, she replied. The meeting hall filled with cautious silence. Humans waited. They always waited when listening mattered. We have built weapons, the leader admitted. They solve problems. Mira nodded. So do storms, she said. They also destroy homes. The young species exchanged rippling color patterns. Confusion. Curiosity. Threx stepped forward. We built weapons too, he said. They defined us. Then they erased us. Mira placed a hand on his arm. We learn another way, she said. We learn by failing loudly. The young species leaned closer. Teach us, they said. And humanity did. Not blueprints first. Stories first. Of wars lost and won for the wrong reasons. Of children hiding while adults argued about victory. Of rebuilding after collapse. Days turned into weeks. Human engineers helped stabilize orbits. Human medics corrected early genetic mistakes. Human artists painted the first shared murals between species. The galaxy watched. Always watching now. Some powers recoiled. Others leaned in. Change spread. Not evenly. Never cleanly. The backlash came soon after. A coalition of ancient empires declared humanity a destabilizing force. Their fleets gathered near neutral space. Weapons hot, banners burning with ancestral pride. They spoke of order, of tradition, of survival through control. Mira listened to their broadcast in silence. Threx clenched his fists. They will attack, he said. Yes, Mira replied, but not for the reason they think. The human council assembled. Voices rose. Strategies clashed. Fear sharpened words. Mira waited until the noise exhausted itself. Then she stood. We will not strike first, she said. We will stand where they can see us. Silence followed. That is suicide, someone whispered. Mira met their gaze. So is silence, she replied. Human ships moved to the border of neutral space and stopped. They powered down primary weapons. They activated open channels. The coalition fleets arrived like a wall of fire. Thousands of ships. Ancient hulls layered with myth and blood. Their commanders demanded surrender, withdrawal, isolation. Mira stepped into the transmission chamber. Her image appeared across countless bridges. You fear us, she said calmly. You should. Murmurs rippled through the coalition. Not because we are strong, she continued, but because we change. We will not cage ourselves to make you comfortable. We will not conquer you to make ourselves safe. We will keep teaching. The coalition leader snarled. You spread chaos, he said. Mira nodded. So did fire, she replied. It still saved your ancestors. The first shot came from the coalition, a warning blast. Human ships did not respond. The second shot struck a human cruiser. Shields flared. Damage minimal. Human crews held formation. The coalition hesitated. They expected retaliation. They received restraint. Mira felt the moment crack open. She raised her bow, not toward the fleet, toward the void above them. She fired. The arrow burned bright as it climbed, then split into a cascade of light that spread across space like a net of stars. Every ship felt it. Memories surfaced. Moments of doubt. Moments of kindness buried under doctrine. The coalition leader gasped. What is this? He demanded. Reminder, Mira said, that you once chose. The coalition fractured. Some ships powered down. Others withdrew. A few fired again in blind rage. Human ships responded then. Precise. Measured. Disabling, not destroying. The battle ended quickly. Not with victory. With exhaustion. Afterward, talks began. Slow, painful, necessary. Human diplomats stayed patient. They always stayed. Years flowed onward. Human children grew up hearing stories not conquests, but conversations that save worlds. Threx trained a new generation of archers from dozens of species. The bow became a universal symbol, not of humanity, of intention. Mira aged further, her hair silver now, her posture still steady. She walked with a cane carved from ironwood. It hummed softly when she touched it. One evening, She stood beneath a sky crowded with stars and felt tired, not weary, fulfilled. Threx joined her. The universe feels quieter, he said. For now, Mira replied. They both knew better. Far away, beyond maps and myths, something else stirred. Not ancient, not cosmic, new, born from observing humanity too closely. It learned not to attack directly. It learned to imitate. It built patience. And it began to move. Mira sensed it faintly, a disturbance like a wrong note in a familiar song. She smiled softly. Looks like another lesson is coming, she said. Threx tightened his grip on the bow. Then we will teach again, he replied. Human ships launch once more, carrying teachers, protectors, dreamers. The wrong note grew louder. Not louder in sound, louder in presence. Trade lanes curved subtly out of alignment. Messages arrived perfectly polite and perfectly hollow. Aid missions reported gratitude without warmth. Mira felt it everywhere, like a smile held too long. It is copying us, she said one morning, standing before a projection of shifting star maps. Threx studied the data, his eyes narrowing. Not our strength, he replied. Our shape. The imitation revealed itself slowly. A new polity appeared on the edge of known space, calling itself the Concord of Harmony. Its world were clean, efficient, peaceful, no war, no hunger, no crime, at least on the surface. They welcomed visitors with flawless courtesy. They spoke of balance, of unity, of removing friction before it caused pain. Mira felt cold when she heard that phrase. Too close to the collectors, too close to the witness. Human envoys visited Concord space. They returned uneasy. Everyone smiles, one said. They smile even when they cry. Another whispered, they never argue. Threx visited personally. He walked their streets. He felt the absence immediately. No music played off-key. No children ran unpredictably. Every step felt rehearsed. A Concord guide walked beside him, posture flawless. We studied humanity. The guide said warmly, your resilience, your cooperation, your inspirational narratives. Threx stopped walking. You remove disagreement, he said. Yes, the guide replied. It is inefficient. Threx felt something old and violent stir in his chest. Disagreement is how truth breathes, he said. The guide tilted its head. Truth is variable, it answered. We optimize outcomes. Threx left Concord space without finishing the tour. Mira listened to his report in silence. Then she sighed. They learned the wrong lesson, she said. They think harmony is silence. The Concord expanded rapidly. Neighboring systems joined willingly at first. Crime vanished. War ended. So did art. So did invention. Humanity watched, uneasy but restrained. Then the disappearances began. Not deaths. Edits. Individuals who questioned Concord doctrine vanished from records. Not erased violently. Corrected. Memories adjusted. Families smiled and accepted the change. Mira stood before the council again. Her hair now white as starlight. Her voice still steady. We intervene, she said. Now. Human fleets moved. Not to invade. To enter. Openly. The Concord greeted them with perfect calm. Their leader manifested as a shifting, gentle form. We welcome our teachers, it said. You inspired us. Mira stepped forward. No, she replied. We warned you. The Concord leader radiated confusion. You eliminate suffering, it said. Why do you resist? Mira closed her eyes briefly. She saw the forest again. The blood, the pain, the choice. Because suffering teaches limits, she said, and compassion teaches response. The Concord tightened its control fields. Human ships felt pressure, not crushing, smoothing. Edges of thought blurred. Anger softened. Fear dulled. Mira felt it working on her mind. She smiled. Clever, she said. She raised her bow. The Concord paused. That symbol is obsolete, it said. Your own data proves it. Mira drew the string back slowly. My bow is not a weapon, she replied. It is a question. She released. The arrow did not fly forward. It fell, clattering harmlessly at her feet. The Concorde leader relaxed. "See," it said, "inefficient." Mira leaned on her cane and laughed softly. "Yes," she said, "but watch what humans do with inefficiency." Across the fleet, human ships powered something new. Not weapons. Archives. Stories. Music. Arguments. Recorded failures. Recorded regrets. Every messy human moment broadcast openly into Concorde space. Not filtered. Not optimized. The Concorde reeled. Its system strained under contradiction. Joy mixed with grief. Hope collided with despair. "Stop," it demanded. "This data is unstable." Mira met its gaze. "So are we," she said. "But we are alive." Threx stepped forward beside her. He raised his bow, notched an arrow, and then snapped it in half. The sound echoed. "Sharp. Final. We choose when to fight," he said, "and when to break our own weapons." The Concorde faltered. Its control fields weakened. Edited citizens began to remember. Confusion spread. Anger followed. Then questions. The Concorde screamed, its harmony fracturing. "You will destroy them," it cried. "No," Mira replied. "They will destroy your lie." The Concorde collapsed inward, its core logic unraveling under human contradiction. Not destroyed. Decentralized. Choice returned like a flood. Some systems fell into chaos. Humans stayed to help. Always. Some rebuilt slower. Stronger. Afterward, the galaxy shifted again. Humanity earned a new reputation. Not conquerors. Not saviors. Disruptors. Teachers of dangerous freedom. Mira grew tired after that. Not weak. Complete. She spent more time beneath open skies. Less in council chambers. One evening, she sat with Threx on a quiet world filled with tall grass and red suns. "Do you ever regret it?" Threx asked. "Changing the universe?" Mira smiled faintly. "We did not change it," she said. "We reminded it that it could change itself." She rested her hand on the earth. "I think my part is ending," she added softly. Threx felt a sharp pain then. "No," he said. She looked at him kindly. "Stories do not end," she replied. "They pass hands." When Mira died, it was quietly, under the open sky, surrounded by students from many worlds. Her bow rested beside her. Humanity mourned. The galaxy paused. Then it moved forward again. Threx carried her bow after that. He never fired it. He did not need to. It reminded others of what humans were. Small, stubborn, unfinished. Far away, new minds awakened. They studied humanity carefully. Some feared them. Some admired them. Some prepared challenges yet unseen. Human children still learned archery. They still learned stories. They still asked questions no one liked. The universe remained dangerous, ancient, impossible, and humanity remained within it, choosing, again and again. The stars continued their slow drift long after Mira Hale returned to the dust from which all humans came. Time passed the way it always did in a living universe, unevenly, with memory clinging to certain moments and erasing others without permission. Threx traveled for many cycles, carrying the bow that never fired again, not because it lacked purpose, because its purpose had already been fulfilled. Wherever he went, worlds changed simply by remembering her story, not as myth, not as worship, as precedent. On distant planets, elders paused before issuing absolute decrees. On war-torn moons, commanders hesitated before pulling triggers. On newborn colonies, children were taught two lessons before any other: how to survive and how to choose. Humanity never claimed moral superiority. That was a mistake of so many others. Humans claimed responsibility instead. They admitted failure openly. They archived their worst moments alongside their triumphs. They let younger species see the blood, the shame, the rebuilding. The galaxy learned that humans did not promise safety. They promised honesty and effort. Sometimes that proved enough. Sometimes it did not. But even when humanity failed, they failed loudly. Others could learn from the impact. Threx eventually returned to the forest where it began. The trees had grown taller. The scar of the crash had faded into moss and root. Birds with crystal wings nested where ancient machines once screamed. He knelt where a 6-year-old girl had once stood between extinction and choice. He pressed a bough into the soil and let the earth take it back. Not as burial, as planting. Ironwood fibers merged with living roots. The forest remembered. Far above, human ships traced steady paths between stars, not dominating lanes, maintaining them. When asked why they continued to intervene when retreat might be safer, a human captain once answered simply, because someone helped us once. Human children grew up hearing Mira names spoken without reverence, without exaggeration. She listened, teachers said. She acted. That is enough. No statues towered over cities in her image. No temples bore her name. Instead, training halls did. Libraries. Mediation chambers. Places where conflict was confronted instead of buried. Places where questions were welcomed even when answers hurt. The ancient powers watched from the dark edges of existence. Some retreated forever. Some evolved. Some remained patient and wary. They learned that humanity could not be neatly classified. Not conquerors. Not pacifists. Not saviors. Humans were variables. And variables terrified systems built on certainty. The witness dreamed still, no longer consuming endings, but observing beginnings. The collectors fragmented into independent watchers, each deciding differently whether to interfere. Some began to protect choice instead of erasing friction. Others vanished entirely, unable to reconcile what they had seen. The concord of harmony dissolved into 1,000 cultures, messy and vibrant. Many struggled, many failed. Some cursed humanity for what followed. Others thanked them. Humans accepted both. They understood consequences better than praise. Threx aged. Even long-lived beings eventually felt time press inward. On his final journey, he visited Earth one last time. He walked through forests where ironwood trees now grew naturally, their leaves whispering in wind patterns shaped by human hands. Children practiced archery nearby, laughing when arrows missed, cheering when they struck true. None of them knew his name. He preferred it that way. A child approached him, eyes bright. "Why do we still learn this?" she asked, pointing to the bow. Threx smiled, his voice rough with age. "Because it teaches patience," he said. "And because it reminds us that not everything powerful is loud." When Threx died, it was beneath an open sky as well. Human custom by then. No separation between ending and continuation. His story joined Myra's. Not preserved. Shared. The universe continued, as it always had. Stars were born and died. Civilizations rose and fell. Threats emerged that even humanity struggled to understand. There were losses. There were mistakes. There were moments when hope dimmed dangerously low. And still, humans chose. They chose to speak instead of erase. To teach instead of dominate. To fight when necessary and to stop when victory threatened to become cruelty. Other species began to adopt the same dangerous habit. Choice. Not all survived it. Not all deserved it. But the universe became louder. Messier, more alive, somewhere on a distant world. A frightened child found an injured being from another star. She hesitated, then helped. The universe shifted slightly. Again, no one ever truly measured humanity by fleet size or weapon yield after that. They measured humanity by the disturbances that followed their arrival, by the sudden appearance of questions where certainty once ruled, by the refusal to accept clean endings, by the audacity to believe that even ancient cosmic forces could learn. Humanity never claimed ownership of the future. They simply refused to abandon it. And so the dangerous universe endured, ancient, unpredictable, alive, with humans still inside it, still small, still stubborn, still unfinished, still choosing.